What up, everybody? This is Dominik Sky. I've been away for about a year, so I decided to make a kind of a recap video. How should we call it? Training update video. So I just want to speak a little bit about what I've been doing the past year, how the training has been, and what are my plans for the future. Living the dream. I can train every day, all day. I can focus on my dream, which is MMA, and I'm just all in, and I love it. This is the most amazing journey that I've ever encountered, and I absolutely love it. Like, I love all of it. I love training. I love fighting. I love working on the heavy bag. I love shadow boxing. I love middle split training. I love kicking. So it's just this MMA thing supports all of my practice. It supports my calisthenics. Obviously, I'm not on the level I was because MMA training is very taxing when you do a hardcore MMA sparring or a lot of wrestling. There's a lot of clinching, overhooks, underhooks. There's battles going on in the clinch, like you pulling the rotator cuffs are always freaking sore, or even just from boxing, there's a lot of tension, a lot of stress on the shoulders. So it's very hard to do a heavy military press twice a week if I'm just doing a shit ton of boxing and kicking and sparring and wrestling. So my calisthenics level have dropped a little bit, and there was some question, oh Dom, do you feel sad about this and all of that? And I have to say, not really. You know, I have a beautiful journey in front of me, and I feel like this is it. You know, I feel like, you know, when Michael Jordan started playing basketball, he probably felt like, oh, this is it. This I can do for the rest of my life. And this about MMA, about martial arts, this is how I feel. And I've always been in love with martial arts, but I had different interests. You know, I used to love free running. Before that, it was soccer, then it was free running, then it was parkour. Then I went into tricking a little bit more, then tumbling. Then I went into calisthenics, and then gymnastics and Olympic weightlifting and powerlifting. And I've just explored anything that I wanted to explore up to the level that I wanted to, and then I will find something else, something more interesting. But this, I really feel like it's something that can keep me occupied and happy and intrigued and excited for the next 8 years. You know, there's so much to learn. There's so much to learn regarding martial arts. There's not one lifetime is almost not enough. I asked my friend who's a 4-time national boxing champion, like, why don't you go to MMA? Like, you got solid background, you can do some wrestling. He's like, life is too short to learn MMA. And at the time I thought, you know, I didn't really agree with that. The more I got into MMA, the more I realized, whoa, that was really a true statement. There really is a lot to learn. It's a very broad sport, you know. You have to be excellent at least 4 or 5 different disciplines if you want to be great at MMA. You know, there's boxing, there's Muay Thai, there's grappling, there's wrestling, there's BJJ, and you have to be proficient to a certain degree at all of those sports. And all of that is just keeping me very, what's the opposite of bored? I don't know. I love every minute. It's so interesting. I never get bored because there's always stuff to learn, and I really deeply enjoy it, and I'm exceptionally talented for it. I really am. I really feel like this is the discipline where I can go to the top and be with the best. And I know a lot of you consider me one of the best athletes in calisthenics, but to be honest, I was 90 kgs heavy. Like, I was one of the best among 90 kgs, but who gives a shit about how much you weigh? Like, I wanted to do what excites me is being so proficient at a discipline that you make something extremely difficult look simple. Like, that's what really excites me. When I see a person jumping on the rings and they do a perfect muscle up, and then they go into a full planche, for example, lower down, boom, front lever, you know, that's what is really exciting to me. And to be on that level, you have to be talented. You know, if you're weighing 100 kgs and you want to be the most exceptional calisthenics athlete, it won't happen. Maybe according to your definition of being exceptional. Maybe for you, being exceptional means holding a planche, full planche for 2 seconds and doing 3 handstand push-ups. Boom, awesome. Go for it. But for me, it's either you're among the best in the world, or I'm not interested. Like, that's that's what does it for me. And I feel like I finally found the thing where I can be the best, you know, or at least for a short period of time. And that's what I'm going for. And it's really, really exciting. I'm really looking forward to it.
Fuck yeah!
So I got a bit off the topic. I have some scripts here, but basically I've been training my ass off for the past year and a half. I went to the States last year. I think that was the last video or some of the last ones of me having my first boxing fight. Went to the States. I realized there's this thing called wrestling, which is not Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I thought, oh, practicing BJJ is enough, and then I realized wrestling is incredibly important. And I was like, whoa, shit, there's a huge area where I'm missing a lot of things. So that was really my focus, focusing on the wrestling. I met a Bogdan, amazing coach and a former athlete. He was a professional Muay Thai fighter, had over 200 professional fights, 4-time European champion and 2-time world champion. And for some reason, we really connected, and I told him right away, listen, I want to be a UFC champion. He told me, what's your age? I was like, I'm 30. So I'm a bit old and shit, you know. So he was the first one who was very real with me, and I saw that this is a person who has experience. He has coached several UFC fighters. He's coaching right now several UFC fighters. What's his name? Matt Fervola, yeah, and Billy Q, who I'm training with in Gracie, Tampa South. And yeah, I just really enjoyed my time in the States. I went back home, and one very cool thing happened in the States. I met I went for a sparring session, and I thought Bogdan was gonna be there, and he usually kicks everybody's ass, so I was ready to get my ass whooped, and I was like, man, not this time. And I came in prepared, and then he was not there, so I went little bit harder in sparring. I'm usually I usually go a bit lighter. I do more rounds, but I work on technical proficiency. I work on my weak spots. I work on the stuff that I'm not good at. Maybe that's clinching, maybe that's more wrestling, depends on the session. But on that day, I came in and I was like, I feel like doing some ass kicking, you know, and I'm sparring and I'm good and I'm throwing combinations. And exactly on that day, Jamal Hill, current UFC light heavyweight champion. I think he was stripped because of an injury, so he actually, I think somebody's gonna fight for the title. But it was pretty cool having Jamal Hill there, and I finished with a sparring, and I'm taking on my gloves, and he's somebody like I see a fist coming up, and I bump his fist. I look up, I'm like, and he told me, well, you're looking great, man. I'm like, what the fuck was that, Jamal Hill? I just saw him fighting like a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, holy shit, you Jamal Hill? I was like, wow, he looked fucking big in real life. So it was very cool to have a UFC fighter who later that year became a UFC champion, you know, to tell you look good in sparring sessions. That was pretty cool. But yeah, basically went back home, and I went to visit my boxing gym, and coach was like, well, we have a fight in 2 weeks. Do you want to fight? I was like, well, fuck yeah. But I wasn't in great conditioning, so that sun is getting in the way of it. So I was thinking, fuck yeah, let's do it. And then I did a whole lot of conditioning because I had 2 weeks to get in shape, and I was mainly practicing wrestling and just technique in the States. So I wasn't really in great conditioning at the time when coming back home from the States. And so I did a shit ton of work. I had a fight. It was a decent fight. The guy was a bit clumsy. It was his first fight, and I was just a bit too nice, to be completely honest. I was like, okay, I'm going in, I'm winning this fight. I'm not getting punched in the face once, but I'm not killing the guy. Like, it's his first fight, like, and he looked really clumsy and shit. I felt no way in danger or anything, but man, he was persistent. His heart was in the right place, and he kept coming forward. And now when I look back at it, I think he deserved the victory, you know. And I was a bit too defensive. Like, I didn't get hit and shit, but at least he was throwing some punches. He was going for it. And I broke my thumb in the second round. I hit him with an overhand, and it landed awkwardly. And I broke my thumb in the second round. So that really, yeah, was also an interesting thing, you know, for the first time to happen. You break your thumb, and then you go in the corner. And I didn't tell the coach because he can be a bit aggressive and shit. So I just kept it to myself, and it wasn't maybe the best maybe not the best circumstances, but I've learned a lot from the experience. And to shorten the story, afterwards I come back home and I'm like, man, fuck this boxing thing. Let's go all into MMA, because I feel like I can't go two different directions. I feel like they go home hand in hand up to a certain point. After that, not really. One takes away from the other. So I realized, okay, fuck it, let's just fucking fly. So I was let's just focus on MMA. So then I'm like, and starting to go into this training, and I'm pissed because I lost the fucking fight. I really wanted to win the fight, and I thought I deserved the victory at the time, and I was just fucking pissed. So and when you train in anger, it's not the best way, not the best thing for longevity, you know. And eventually you get better. And I just did way too much work, and at the end of the week, just my hip flexors fucking like, it was the first time in my life also I kicked the bag and I feel sharp pain in my hips. And then there was a lot of talk about, and it was the first time I had my hip injury. So I'm like, man, is this like hip impingement? Let's check the internal, external rotation of the hip joint, and all of this to see if there's any limitations. And then it was one hip, then the other hip. And at the time, I'm also squatting heavy, pretty much 3-4 times a week. So that also tightened the hip flexors a little bit. And it's just a mistake on my part. And obviously there's no hip impingement or anything like that. It was just too much intensity too soon, too much too soon. That's basically why you get injured 90% of the time, for everybody who's curious. So I had a hip flexor injury, a main one, and I couldn't kick the heavy bag for about 6 months or so. And that fucking sucked, you know. That made me rethink the whole thing. I was like, man, if I can't fucking kick, then what the fuck am I doing with MMA? Like, let's go back to boxing, because there's no because my hips feel good doing that, and I can fight in boxing right now, but in MMA I still have to wait. So it was about 6 months of rehabbing the hips, relearning how to kick, and strengthening the hip flexors, and focusing on mobility as well, and just focusing on the right amount of training to not go over the top or not be under it, you know, 100% perfection. And yeah, I rehabbed my hips. I went back to the States in 2023. I trained with Bogdan, Ukrainian Muay Thai master, and man, there was some. The third training session we did, I wrote it down in my journal. It was the hardest training session I've ever done in my life. It was just unbelievably difficult. Afterwards, I was like, man, I've never trained that hard, and that's something, you know, from a guy who did pull-ups for 5 hours and fucking 70 sets of planche and training 6-8 hours a day, and running a marathon with no training. And I did a lot of stupid shit, you know, but this was really the hardest session I've ever done in my life. And thank you, Bogdan. I don't know if you're watching it. Thank you so much for all your time and patience and energy and everything. You're just an exceptional coach, really exceptional coach. 3 training sessions with him was more than 3 months of training by yourself. Like, he was that good. And just, yeah, amazing. Really grateful for that. I don't know how that happened, but it's just amazing stuff. So trained in the States, and just fixed my hip flexors and stuff. So I'm perfectly healthy, but it's about 4 weeks, and then I'm going back home. So I asked the coach for a fight, and he's like, you gotta tell me like 6-7 weeks in advance to probably to prepare and to find an opponent and all of that shit. So I'm like, oh well, fuck it. So I went back home, and what did we do when we came back? Shit, yeah. Came back home, started training a lot here, focused on wrestling, and then I break my little toe. And I break it. I'm like, oh shit, that was unfortunate, and it was the right one, and I broken it before doing some wrestling with my friend. And then a week passes by, and I have the right little toe taped, and then I break the other one, and I'm like, whoa, there's something fishy going on. I broken 2 toes in a span of like 3 weeks or 4 weeks, I believe. And then I figured out it's the mats. So my mats are getting pretty fucking old, and it's just my pinky got stuck in between the 2 mats, and then I pulled it and just like completely fucking broke it. And then obviously continued training and broke it about 2 more times. One time just hitting the table, edge of the table, very unfortunate. So yeah, basically broken my freaking little toe about 3 times in the past 4 weeks. Ordered new mats for the gym, so hopefully that won't happen again. But that's the main reason why I didn't have a fight yet. I wanted the first thing to post. I wanted a fight, an MMA fight. So couple of weeks from now, I can go to Zagreb to an American top team gym, which are basically gyms that are specialized for MMA. And I already visited them last year, and they put me in the fight team. So I'll be training with 20, 30 guys, all of them minimum 6 feet, and all of them extremely skilled, and all of them fighting amateur or professional MMA. So it's just exciting times, great time training. Hopefully my little toes will heal up soon, so I think a couple of more weeks and I can start training MMA fully, and yeah, hopefully get a fight. And then if it finishes well, if I finish first, second round KO or submission, then 1 fight a month for the next 8-9 months. So hopefully June next year I have about 10 amateur fights, and then I go pro next year when I come back from the States. So yeah, that's about it. That's about what's gonna happen, or how my life looked like the past year. A shit ton of training. I forgot to mention, we had the first official Sky training camp in Portugal last year. That was pretty awesome as well. So for everybody who was on the Sky mentorship, either with me or one of my 3 coaches that are currently coaching, Denton, Peter, and Kaitas, great guys, all of them amazing coaches, amazing athletes. And we got together, and the team organized a training camp in Portugal. It was just amazing. It was like, I think 30, 40 people, all of them extremely dedicated, and just a great deal of fun, you know. Go, go, go!
Well, I can't still believe I've been around the people, I've been around the stuff. Call it like family, but there's no ill intentions, there's such good energy, everyone's here pushing everyone.
We had a Sky calisthenics competition, first official one, was pretty cool as well, weighted pull-ups and overhead press, and like a legitimate competition. It was awesome.
The best moment, personally for me, the best was like I did 4 or 5 PRs in one day, and that feels like absolutely amazing. I would have never achieved that alone at home.
There's not many communities, I'd say, in sport that have this. Everyone's here supported each other. We've all like probably hit personal bests on lifts. I mean, even like the workshops when the guys are explaining and you're taking notes, this has given so much in terms of value. Something else could happen. It's just been priceless, it really has. Yeah, I wouldn't trade it for the world. This has been the absolute best decision I've made, training-wise, to come in and experience this with all these people. It's been incredible, really good.
This is gonna happen every 2 years, so this year I decided to take a break because I was hosting training camps pretty much every year the past 6 years. But next year I want to do a training camp as well, so if some of you are interested, just write in the comment section or write on an email or some shit. Yeah, we'll figure something out. But yeah, next year is gonna be official Sky training camp. I think it's gonna be amazing. I'm gonna really prepare in advance, like for the competition. We're gonna have freestyle, calisthenics, just basic strength, squats and deadlifts as well. So just kind of a strength competition. But it was a great deal of fun. Met a lot of amazing people, and just felt so blessed that we created something that I feel like is good, you know. So yeah, that's about it for this video.
Fuck it!
I know it was a little bit boring. Hopefully I'll edit some freaking shit in the video so it's a bit more exciting. But if you need help with anything, please feel free to write in the comment section, and I'll do my absolute best to help you guys. If I possibly can. Obviously, you're gonna have to do the work, but at least I can give you some guidance, and maybe it can save you some time and some frustration on dealing with injuries or lack of progress, or a specific skill that's giving you some troubles. Thank you so much for your attention and your time, and always remember, you're a champion. Wow.